Hello, everyone. I'm TLane, and I'm a music professor at the University of New Haven in Connecticut. Collectively, I've been teaching for 22 years and the last 12 years in higher education. I completed my master's in music and music education at Teachers College, Columbia University, and in December completed my second master's there at Teachers College in education. Today, I am presenting segments of my research synthesis paper, that is primarily concerned with college dropout in the United States. There is no denying the positive impacts that digital technology has had on our lives, including in education. Much as we have benefited, there has been increasing research conducted over the past 20 years concerned with its negative effects, particularly on child and adolescent development, both psychologically and academically. In what is referred to as an addiction, people of all ages around the world constantly check their cell phones for messages, post to social media, and more. For adolescents, using digital technology has replaced face-to-face communication, a change that may have directly affected their ability to manage their emotions amid life's changes and challenges, and to create and maintain healthy, real-world social relationships. In the classroom, that equates to silence. Adolescent and young adult voices are being lost because their anxiety about being among others in person has increased. This lack of voice and confidence is leading students to drop out of colleges and universities at rates never before seen. The youth of the world's futures should not be at risk due to technological advancement. So my paper focuses on several contributing factors in college dropout. Although I am not able to present all my research today due to time constraints, I will cover the main issues I've experienced and what solutions I've had success with. Within the last 10 years, increasing research has been conducted to examine the relevance of emotional intelligence in the academic achievement of adolescents. The concept of emotional intelligence emerged in 1990 and examined how regulation and understanding of emotions in oneself and in others can lead to successful problem solving and more positive social relationships. This inspired Daniel Goleman to write his 1995 best-selling book. Previously, emotional intelligence wasn't part of the conversation regarding human growth potential, adaptability, conflict resolution, productivity, and success. As a result of his notion of emotional hijacking, research continues to explore how a lack of emotional intelligence can lead to paralyzing behavior that affects one's ability to be a productive member of society. It is important to explore the implications of emotional intelligence as it relates to student success within and beyond the classroom. Now consider the amount of stress a student may feel within the first year of college and the many factors that will contribute to anxiety becoming overwhelming to the point that a student feels they cannot overcome it. As Goleman stated, it has been found that anxiety undermines the intellect. Anxiety also sabotages academic performance of all kinds. 126 different studies of more than 36,000 people found that the more prone to worries a person is, the poorer their academic performance, no matter how measured, whether it's grades on tests, grade point averages, or achievement tests. Emotional intelligence can either be a natural part of our disposition, defined as trait emotional intelligence, or it can be a learned coping mechanism. In a middle school study done by Carol Dweck that incorporated her implicit theories of intelligence, which assesses beliefs about intelligence being fixed or changeable. The biological and neurological changes experienced by adolescents in puberty was incorporated into their analysis of adolescent perception of whether they could learn to manage their emotions, with particular focus on how environments such as socioeconomic status can influence those perceptions. Their results indicate that at this crucial time in adolescence development, students were apt to take on more challenges when their beliefs were strengthened about their own ability to manage stress and resulting emotions. This is especially important regarding establishing peer relationships that lend social emotional support. They also considered how we're not all wired the same in our brains, and that genetics can factor into how regulation of emotions can be controlled. And not everybody that learns to be emotionally intelligent can be a good problem solver. And regardless of emotional intelligence being natural or learned, adopting education about it into higher education curriculum has shown to be strongly correlated with increases in emotional self-efficacy or effectiveness in regulation of emotions. Now, it hasn't always been a belief that people can increase their confidence in their ability to manage their emotions, and that doing so can be taught like any other soft skill. However, much has been written about the capacity to change one's mindset. Realistically, a person can change their mindset as long as they desire to. But while the literature is certainly optimistic as to the benefits of emotional intelligence education, human beings are far too complex, and this is not a one-size-fits-all solution. We have to keep in mind that not all life events are manageable, even if we approach them calmly and rationally. It's also relevant to consider how certain individuals are manipulative. Therefore, it is important for educators themselves to be emotionally intelligent and to understand the different personalities they will encounter in their classroom. With regard to personality, some people are just naturally high-strung and intense. Additionally, certain individuals could possess emotional intelligence but lack confidence in the ability to use it. In fact, this lack of confidence extends to all areas of their lives in that they are perceived as someone who does not fit in. Although this is part of a larger and separate discussion, it remains that educators can influence such individuals and change their perception about how they can manage their relationship with their environments to increase their feelings of belonging, especially within the college community, and easing their transition to college life. As the popularity, functionality, and use of smartphone technology has grown since the 2000s, so has the concern of impacts on the behavior and mental health of its users, especially adolescents. Of particular interest is the use of social media, as there is a suspected link of excessive usage to increases in mental health conditions such as depression, anxiety, and thoughts of self-harming. So let's look at the positive and negative influences that technology and social media has had on student academic performance and success, as well as what effects these resources can have on the mental health and well-being of adolescents. Now, since smartphones became available, they have rapidly evolved into mini computers and enable us to be connected 24 hours a day to news and other media, as well as to a network of family, friends, and coworkers. Facebook has taken the lead as a social networking site, but what was once seen as a way to stay in touch with friends and family and to make new friends gradually has become associated with higher levels of social anxiety. Social anxiety is defined as a state of anxiety resulting from the prospect or presence of interpersonal evaluation in real or imagined settings. It's basically the fear of just being judged. In Pierce's exploration of how human behavior may be influenced by the use of computers, The goal was to learn if adolescents were using technology as a way to avoid face-to-face interaction, in addition to discovering the reasons why. It was found that a group of high school participants in the study deliberately resisted person-to-person contact and preferred to communicate through email, text messaging, or posting on social media. A person suffering from social anxiety may be depressed and will physically isolate themselves from others. For those that are shy, using technology gives them more of a sense of belonging by posting their news, thoughts, and feelings on social media, in addition to responding to posts by others in their network. However, more researchers have characterized technology and social media use as a growing addiction, as I mentioned before. At the time of Pierce's study, it had already become a serious problem in the classroom as educators increasingly began to see lower participation and what is described as crippling anxiety when students were given an assignment that involved giving a presentation or performance. It is no exaggeration the impact anxiety has on them, from losing sleep and feeling ill before a presentation, or their cognition being affected to the point that even if they knew the answers to exam questions, the anxiety causes their minds to actually just go blank. Overall, students on university campuses have been seen to be struggling more with social interaction in and out of the classroom, with many using their cell phones during classroom lectures to play games, access social media, or text message their friends. In addition, it has grown evident that text messaging has diminished the writing skills of students, further reducing their ability to produce acceptable work in school. Now, as of 2020, social media users totaled 3 billion globally. It served a more positive purpose in its earlier history, providing support and ways to relieve stress by talking about everyday life. More recently, users are bombarded with all manners of topics, from politics to economics to social and personal issues that we are concerned with. A person could be in a great mood and then react negatively because of something they read on Facebook, or even because they didn't get enough likes on a post. One study explored how students would compare themselves to others' accomplishments or actions and feel lower self-worth or have less confidence in themselves as a result of their own expectations. Even more concerning is that adolescents can have connections on social media with people they do not even know in real life. In fact, some users will add a lot of people to their accounts to create the illusion that they are popular. Thus, they spend more time on their accounts looking for recognition or else responding to posts, leading to lower productivity in and out of the classroom and becoming dependent on the constant feedback that they desire to receive. This isn't to say that all social media and technology use can be harmful. If used correctly and with proper expectations, within these platforms lies the potential for those who may be dealing with mental health issues to find support within their networks or in private groups that are devoted to these issues. Now, as I begin this topic, I should relate that what inspired me to write this paper was David Kirk's visit to Teachers College in 2019 to talk about his book, The College Dropout Scandal. Despite heightened awareness and attention being given to the academic success of students by government officials, administrators, and educators, and with more states having tuition-free community colleges, dropout rates have continued to increase within the last decade in the United States. Now, it is clear from these numbers, which have remained consistent, that the highest risk for dropout occurs within the first and second year time frame. We have established the benefits of social and emotional intelligence and several factors that contribute to adolescent social anxiety, which is especially important during this heightened period of self-awareness and self-consciousness. Further studies were examined to determine if there are stronger indications that the decision to leave school begins with student confidence. This confidence is not only related to the self, it is connected to both the institution and its perceived support of the student, as well as the confidence in the student's belonging to that institution's diverse community. Now, briefly, one key study observed the faculty's pedagogy for promotion of classroom engagement and peer-to-peer interaction. And if they included lectures about student body diversity and culture characteristics, they assessed the institution's support of first-year students' failure or success in developing the attitudes, behaviors, and mindsets that would establish a foundation toward adequate preparation that their academic careers would depend upon. These results contributed significantly to the field with data that illuminated the importance of institutional support of student social and personal competence, especially with regard to curriculum designed for the first-year student that helps shape the way they adapt and learn in subsequent years. The more connected and supported students felt in their first year to their school, fellow students, and faculty, the more confidence and resolve they had in navigating the many variables of their new experiences. Too often, researchers have found institutions to be more interested in getting tuition dollars in the doors instead of supporting whole person curriculum design. Marginalization is another key contributor in the decision to drop out of college, particularly with concern to Blacks, African Americans, Latino Americans, or other ethnicities related to European Americans, regardless of socioeconomic status. As Kerb stated, the more that students feel a part of their entire college experience, academically and socially, the higher their chances are of staying and graduating. The more they feel they belong, the better they do in all areas of their personal and academic lives. This is especially true for minority students, who are most vulnerable to negative stereotypes that result in fixed mindsets about inclusion within their student communities and the world around them. A simple intervention could transform mindsets, particularly if delivered during the transition from high school to college or within the freshman year. Now, I would like to relate my own experience as both a student and educator to further illustrate these points. I went back to school as a 50-something-year-old to obtain my music degrees in 2014. On the first day of class as an undergrad, most of my professors started with introductions, asking students to say their name, where they are from, and what their major is if they had one. When they asked who wanted to go first, nobody raised their hand except me. In all of my first and second year classes, this behavior was present. Students were afraid to talk and participate. And one of the courses that I teach is vocal performance, voice lessons for all ability levels, beginners to advanced. The majority of my students are crippled with anxiety about speaking, never mind singing. Without knowing it, over the years, I had begun using psychology to transform the mindsets of my students so that fear was replaced by motivation and confidence. I formally added psychology to my studies while I was at Teachers College, so that even in my undergrad, I started to, so that I could better serve my students as well as myself, because honestly, it has been very difficult trying to break through the walls that these students have up. Now, one key way I do this is with having a vast knowledge of music and staying current with what is on the music industry charts. I personalize each lesson by giving students a list of choices for each song assignment. And that could be something from the 60s or something from Adele's new album. Each song is a development tool that scaffolds on the other and becomes more challenging. The key is that the student feels emotionally connected to every song. Without that, I cannot eventually get them in the zone or in the place where they can disappear into the music and sing their hearts out for their final exam performance. As the anxiety lessens, they put more energy into their singing. And that has a cyclical effect of building their vocal ranges and strengths. So they take on new challenges. Now, there are many other methodologies I use, but the goal is to get rid of the useless fear. This is a saying that I developed many years ago when I was teaching. So what I see over the course of 16 weeks is a remarkable transformation of both the student inner and outer voice. So one of my colleagues dubbed me the voice whisperer. That's where that title, that name came from. So that has led to my getting more students with anxiety issues or learning disabilities, more students registering for my class. So by learning to sing, having music curriculum designed with their identity in mind, becoming more knowledgeable about distorted perceptions and how they become hijacked by their thoughts and emotions, they become more confident human beings and emotionally stable, and thus are better equipped to manage being in college and dealing with life in general. And this is just a small number of students that I have helped over the years deal with and overcome fear. So I'm also employing these strategies with assignments related to public speaking with the same results, and incorporate education about emotional intelligence and social anxiety in all of my courses to encourage participation, development of empathy, and building rapport with my students. In conclusion, I have endeavored to offer evidence of the benefits of increasing emotional intelligence and raising awareness about ways to decrease social anxiety and stress in adolescents, offering major opportunity for confidence to grow and motivation to remain constant in overcoming the pains of growth in adolescence and beyond. Even for those who have suffered from abuse and who understandably may feel more isolated on large college campuses, social media has the potential to be a way of connecting them more to others who understand their struggles and may lead to more real-world interaction and relationship building. The combined educational effects of emotional intelligence and strengthening in-person social bonds are further pathways towards maturity and wiser decision-making. While it is certainly encouraging that a large number of students do proceed through the college years successfully, the increasing number of failures also lends itself to a lack of empathy for those of different racial and ethnic backgrounds, simply by not having interacted with a diverse community on a daily basis. Also consider the economic impacts on the country, as well as the physical and mental health effects on individuals who potentially may lack financial stability as adults because they dropped out. It stands to reason that entering college and the challenges therein should be the primary concern of all those in higher education who want this country's youth to have faith that furthering their education will not mean the end of their dreams. With many resources at an institution's disposal, such as utilizing graduate or doctoral students to be liaisons for students throughout their undergraduate years, as well as tapping into data banks that identify students who are beginning to struggle, confidence in higher education and student success may rise to new levels, especially for those whose voices are often silenced and have been for far too long in America. Each school needs to be a place that every voice belongs and succeeds. Thank you so much.